Hello, we are Èric, Canela and Jacobo Galofre, and now we will show you our third iteration of the concept level that's called Dark Myth. The player starts here in a cell, and if he goes to the left side, he will see there's a hole. He will be able to escape this cell. He will find this hallway that there will be an enemy, which will be a normal drug, and behind it, a door that will be closed and won't be able to open it. So the only way he can go is to this other room, which will be opened, and will find a key. After getting the key, uh, the door will open for him, and the player will be able to proceed. After going downstairs, he will find himself in this dining area, where he will find these two enemies, Eric.
This will be two normal drugs, and he will have to defeat them just to continue.
Mhm. Here at the right, the player will find a closed door that the player will be able to open from this side. So the only way to continue will be through this front door. Here we will pass this bookshelf area, and in this hallway, the player will have two options: to go downstairs over there, or to his front. If he enters this room,
He will have to kill these two enemies because will ambush the player. And there
mhm,
were another one that is on the top that will throw grenades.
mhm. On the top, the player will find a chest with some loot, and if he turns around, he will see that there's this type of balcony with a lever over there. If the player gets there, he will find himself inside this balcony of in a cave, and he will see that there's a closed door which prevents the water of the river to the level of the water to go down. But if the player activates the lever, the water level will go down because the door will open. In the cave, he will have to face these enemies, Eric.
We introduce here the archer that is at the farthest point and two normal drugs.
Mhm. In this small cave, he will also find the first checkpoint, which will be inside this tent, which is that resting mattress. And after that, after defeating the enemies and resting, he will find that if he activated the lever, the water level is low, and he will be able to continue through this tunnel.
In this part of the level, we introduce the next type of enemy that is a snake that will throw a cloud of venom to the player. So he has to be fast and kill this snake as soon as possible.
After proceeding, the player will find that there are two paths for him. We will first take a look at the right one. There's a snake over here that he will have to kill, and he will find himself in this how is it called?
This ladder. This ladder.
this la- this ladder. But we won't take a look what's down there. First, we want to check the other path, which is lighted up with these candles. And Eric.
Here we put another enemy so he can shoot the player while he's approaching him. And the
Mhm.
only path possible is to continue through this corridor where he will have to face an elite drug that is marked in color red and also another archer.
After defeating them, he will be able to connect the first pickable weapon, which is this axe.
Now the only way to continue is going through this ramp and continue from this entrance.
Here, the player will get to the Guardian's Cave, where the first thing he will be able to see is this lighted up red crystal, which is the objective of the player in this area. Here, the player will have two options to go to the left side or to his right side. First, we want to check the left path. Right?
In the left path, there will be a normal drog and also an archer that will throw
Mhm.
arrows to the player. And at
Mhm.
the end, there will be a ladder that will allow
Well,
the player to go to the sub level.
and in the right path, the player will be able to cross this bridge, where at the end we'll find some enemies.
Some enemies. This will be 2 normal draws and also a chest for new loot. If the player continues, he will have to cross this bridge and be careful for the enemy on the front because we'll be throwing grenades and we'll have to avoid falling from the bridge and killing himself.
Mhm. After that, the player will go down the ladder and will continue here. If the player comes up here, he will find that this area first of all, has a checkpoint where he will be able to rest, and also it's a place where all the paths get together, the right and the left path. And also, if we come down here,
Here the player can face will face these 2 enemies. In the case that the player goes from this ladder, this will be
that is
the 2 only enemies that he will find. And also this is a shortcut to the other section of the map where he could choose from the left or the right side from on the river.
so after getting to this point, to this junction, the only way he can get to his objective, which is the crystal, is down here in this case, where the player will also find 2 paths, the left side and the right side. As we can see, the right side is a more direct path to the crystal because we can already see the objective from here. But
But the other one is the golden path, where he will have to face some hard enemies and while defeating them, obtaining new drops and best rewards.
So he will be able to continue through these caves, and here at the left side, he will have to defeat these snakes, and also he will find some loot or some collectible that the player will be able to collect.
This part of the map connects the previous zone and the objective one, where the player will have to face a secondary boss in this whole area.
This secondary boss is a minotaur, and after defeating it, the player will be able to collect the crystal. After that, if the player turns around, the first thing he will see is that there's a path at the left side which is lighted up. So in order to continue, he will have to go over there. After getting up these stairs, he will also find that there is a checkpoint over here, and if he continues, he will get this next room. Eric?
This one is the one where the sacrifices are done, and as you can see, it is full of blood and some skeletons, and also full of enemies. In this part, we introduce 3 normal draws and an archer at the end, so the player will have to kill the first, and the last one, the archer, if he can. He can come from this path and arrive to the archer and shoot and kill him.
From this area, the player will see that there's a bridge that connects to the next area, and if he crosses it, he will find also some other tough enemies like an elite drag, some normal drags, and
And
2
2
archers
archers.
at the end. And from here, he will also see that there are some scales, which will be the next puzzle to solve. Because at the left side, the player will want to get inside this cathedral, but the doors will be closed. And in order to open them, the only way he will be able to continue is inside this door. In this next room, at the left side, the player will find a chest with some loot, and if he goes to the right, he will get to a door which will be able to open from this side, which connects to the area at the beginning. Also, inside this place, he will find 2 snakes and a skeleton that will be able to pick up, which is a sacrifice. Eric?
This skeleton will be used to open the doors, and the player will have to interact with the scales, so the doors will be open. And this will be the last part of the level, where the player will have to face the final enemy, that is the beast. And when the player has defeated in this epic battle, he will interact with the sarcophagus, and finish the level with a cinematic and continue the main story. This will be all for this level in Dark Myth. I hope that you like, and thank you.